Boker Tov. Masechet Nazir Daf Daled Amud Aleph 44a1. Yeah, Daled Amud Aleph. Shlosha minin asurim banazir. There's going to be 3 different species in Nazir. What does that mean? 3 different isurim. That's what it means by Shlosha minin. Shlosha minin means 3 different types of isurim. Hatuma. One is tuma, tumat met. Number 2, tiglachat. What is tiglachat? Hair cutting, right? And number 3, hayotze min gefen. Anything that comes out of the gefen. Anything that comes out from the grapes. Okay? Hayotze min gefen, right? The chomer betuma v'tiglachat b'mitzvah gefen. Now each one is going to have a chumrah and a kula. The chumrah of tum'ah and tiglachat more, right, than the yotze min gefen, is that it says it's not noheget the isur achilat yotze min gefen, right? She'atum'ah v'tiglachat sotrim. If a person becomes tameh or they cut off their hair, they have to start from the beginning. Everyone understood? So the chumrah of tiglachat v'tum'ah is the yotze min gefen. But hayotze min gefen, if you just drank wine, you don't soter the nezirut, right? You don't have to start again. You didn't have it on. You don't have to start again. Fine. Next. There's also chumrah from the wine more than the tumah v'tiglachat. Right? What exactly is that? Because anything which is yotze min gefen was never permitted. Even for letzorach mitzvah, for example, you swore to drink wine, or it's purim. Yeah, you heard. Even if it's purim, it's never permitted. The second that the gefen is prohibited, gefen is prohibited. That's it. There's nothing more to talk about. Tumah v'tiglachat utru miklanan. But tum'ah or tiglachat, which is the hair cutting or becoming tamimet, right, was permitted. The tiglachat mitzvah. We're talking about, for example, if he was a metzorah, and therefore that means he's a nazir metzorah, and now he's got a mitzvah to cut off all his hair. So therefore, in such a case, right, it's going to push off the isur of the nazirut or met mitzvah. What does it mean by met mitzvah? Right? If right now the nazir becomes tameh, right? The nazir becomes tameh because of a met mitzvah. It's permitted to become tameh because of a met mitzvah. So therefore, you see from here that there does exist the concept of a heter by tum'ah, right? Met mitzvah. There's also going to be a concept of matira heter by tiglachat, visa metzora, but there's no such thing as a heter by the yotze min hayayin, and that's why there's a chumrah of yotze min hayayin more than the tiglachat and the tumah, but there's a chumrah by the tiglachat tumah more than yotze min gefen. I keep on saying yotze min hayayin, yotze min gefen. Okay, fine. Next, yesh chomer betumah mitiglachat. There's a chumrah. Okay, there's a chumrah by tumah more than tiglachat. Shatuma soteret et kol, because tum'ah, it destroys everything, right? Everything completely. Okay? The chayvim aleh korban, and you're going to be chayav korban, which means that after you become pure, you have to start again, right? The nezirut. The tiglachat ena soteret shloshim, but tiglachat is only going to be soter shloshim, not more than that. The en chayvim aleh korban, and it's not going to be chayav a korban. Okay, so that was a mishnah on Memdaled Amud Aleph, 44a. Now starts the Gemara. The Gemara says, okay, now that we just mentioned the different chumrot by each one of the different things, remember, there were 3 types of isurim, right? The yain, right? Any type of things that comes from the gefen, tum'ah v'tiglachat. And we started mentioning all the chumrot by each one. Says the Gemara, the tum'ah, right? Lo tutar miklala kal v'chomer miyain. Says, 1 second, are you going to tell me now that tum'ah, right, is not going to be permitted? You should have learned that it's not going to be any more yisur, right, than to do with the kvurat met, which is to do with met mitzvah, from a kal v'chomer, from the drinking of wine, which means you shouldn't permit tum'at met, even for tzorech mitzvah, because of what? Because of a kal v'chomer from wine. What's the kal v'chomer from wine? He comes and he says like this, umay yain, just like wine, right? What is the wine? He comes and he says, "Uma yain she'eno soter," that it's not going to be soter. Lo hutar miklalo, right? It's not going to be permitted whatsoever. tum'ah shesoteret eno din shelo tutar miklala. So therefore, right, the tum'ah, which is not going to destroy, right? That's what it says over here. She'ena, right? Sorry, slicha, the tum'ah which is soteret eno din shelo tutar miklala, that it should not be tutar whatsoever. So therefore, basically, what we're trying to say is like, one second. What do we say about tum'ah? We said about tum'ah that it is hutar miklala. When is hutar miklala? Met mitzvah. Okay, so there's a met mitzvah, the Nazir is allowed to become tameh because of the met mitzvah. So the Gemara is going to ask, for 1 second, you should make a kal vachomer from the wine. If right now the wine is not soter, what do it is not soter? If you drank wine right now, do you have to start again the shloshim? No. And lo tar miklalo, there's no heter for the wine. It could be Purim, it could be Pesach, it could be whatever you want. I'm sorry, you're not allowed to drink wine. Doesn't matter. You could make nothing, no wine, no grape juice, nada. So therefore, he comes and he says, so tum'ah, which is soteret, so then why are you going to be permitting tum'ah? Doesn't make sense. So answers the Gemara, Talmud Omar comes to teach you, le'aviv u'limo le'achiv u'lachuto lo yitama lahem bemotam. What does that mean? Le'aviv u'limo lo yitama. He does not become tameh to his father or to his mother. Aval mitameh hu lemet mitzvah, but he does become tameh for a met mitzvah. So you see from here, it's a special learning in the pasuk that a Nazir will become tameh for a met mitzvah. He doesn't become tameh for father and mother or anybody else. But met mitzvah, he does become tameh. Well, says the Gemara, so therefore we cannot learn from a kal vachomer if you have a pasuk mefurash teaching you that you're going to become metamem by a met mitzvah even though you're a Nazir. Next, the yayin, right? Yutar miklalo. 1 second. Why don't we permit wine? Right? Why should we permit wine? So kal vachomer from tumah. Make it the other way around. Be more lenient on the wine because of kal vachomer of tumah. Matuma, just like by tum'ah, shesoteret, which destroys entire nazirut, vutra miklala, and it's going to be permitted for tzorech mitzvah, for let's say a mitzvah, yain, wine, she'ena soter, that does not destroy the entire nazirut, enodin shitar miklalo, shouldn't it come and be matir miklalo, right? So you see from here the what? That really bemet, you should permit wine. Says the pasuk, the pasuk says, miyayin v'shechar yazir, what does that mean? When it comes and it says it's le'esor yain mitzvah, when it says in the pasuk miyayin v'shechar yazir, and then it says anything that comes from the wine lo yochel, from the fact that it's already a sur for the nazir to come and to eat anything that comes from the gefen yain. So what does the miyayin v'shechar yazir come and teach you? If you just said mikol asher yasev megefen yain lo yachel, you're not allowed to eat anything that comes from the grapes. Why did I need to say that afterwards miyayin v'shechar yazir? Comes to teach you that even yain mitzvah, even for mitzvah, it could be wine of a brit milah, it could be wine of sheva berachot, it could be wine of avdalah, of kiddush, of purim, of pesach. Doesn't matter. Even yain mitzvah is going to be wine is wine, and that's it. There's nothing what to talk about. So says the Gemara, fine. So yain is stored at kol. So if you're already going to tell me that, so wine should destroy everything. Right? Kal vachomer from tumah. Just like tumah, which has a heter, hutar miklala. When was tumah permitted? Met mitzvah. No, never parents. Met mitzvah. Tumah. When is tumah permitted? Only for a met mitzvah. You're talking about the kohen. A kohen is father, mother, brother, all those things. That's a kohen. Nazir cannot. La'aviv u'limo lo yitam alehem memutam. La'aviv u'limo lo met mitzvah. Yes, only by a met mitzvah. 1 second. Yain should be soteret hakol then. Kal vachomer from tumah. Just like by tumah was permitted. Why is it permitted by a met mitzvah and it's soteret hakol? Yain, and it destroys everything. Yain shelo tar miklalo. Wine which was not permitted whatsoever. Lo kol sheken sheistor. It should be soteret the entire nazirut. Answers the Gemara. Amar kra, the pasuk says, v'ayamim harishonim mipelu. What does that mean? Anything to do with the Yamim Rishonim, when we're talking about over there that a Nazir that becomes Tameh, the Yamim Rishonim are going to be Yipelu. What does it mean, Yipelu? They're going to fall. It doesn't count. So he says, Ki Tameh Nizro. So he comes and he says, Tum'ah soteret, ve'en hayayin soter. From the fact that it says, V'yamim harishonim yipelu, ki tameh nizro, you see that only Tum'ah is soter the yamim harishonim. It drops the first days, but not anything else. So therefore, since only the Tum'ah is dropping the first days, and not the wine, if you drank, you didn't have Averah, but you don't soter the Nezirut, meaning you still continue in the Nezirut. You could be in the middle, and all of a sudden you drank, right? They came and they started forcing you to drink, or whatever. No, you don't do it. Okay? It doesn't destroy anything. So says the Gemara, okay, now let's move to the next one. What about Tiglachat? Tiglachat is what? Is hair cutting. So the Tiglachat is stored at the kol. It should also be soter everything. Kal v'chomer mitumah. It should be a kal v'chomer from tumah. U'ma tumah shelo atzu ba mitameh. Kemitameh. Just like by tumah, it's a much lighter isur in the fact that they not make the mitameh et nazir and olokeh, meaning the one that's mitameh does not get lashes. It's only the nazir. V'soteret et kol, but it's going to destroy everything. Tiglachat shazuba megaleach mitgaleach. The tiglachat, the one that gets lashes also gets lashes. Meaning this: if you're going to come and you're going to take off the person's hair, you also get the isur, right? And you also get the lashes. The Gemara is going to explain now, right? Eno din shetisor et kol. Shouldn't it be also that you should be soteret et kol, right? Which means that you also get the lash, you also get the avirah. It's not meaning like this. If I'm going to come and I'm going, for example, I'm going to come and I'm going to be metameh otcha, right, with a tameh met, so I don't get the avirah. Right? Okay, you could have a lifnei ver, but it's not the avera in the mitameh, like the mitameh. The one that became tameh, he has the avera. The other one, you have a general avera. Lifnei ver, don't put a stumbling block in front of people, things like that. But that's it. Here, the one that's doing tiglachat is not only the one that's getting the haircut, it's the one that's doing the haircut. He also gets a lash, he also gets everything. So shouldn't it be the same halacha that it's soter everything? So says the Gemara again, Amar krav hayamim rishonim niplu. Tum'ah is the only thing which is soteret et kol. Then tiglachat soteret et kol. The only thing which is soteret et everything is what? Tum'ah. It says in the pasuk. Vayamim harishonim yipelu. Why? Ki tameh nizro. Only the first days are going to be destroyed because tameh nizro. So that's the only thing that could become, right? That's going to come and going to be destroyed. So says the Gemara, the tum'ah. He says, 1 second. By Tum'ah, you should also get the Yisur then, just like the Tiglachat. He says, why? Tiglachat, it only destroys the Shloshim. Why does it destroy Shloshim Yom? Why does Tiglachat soter Shloshim Yom? Very good. Because the hair, in order to be considered Nazirut, it's a minimum of 30 days. So in the middle of the Nazirut, if you cut off the hair, you have to start again 30 days. Only why? Because, right, you need hair in order to cut it off at the end of 30 days. But let's say you had a 100-day Nazirut. And after 40 days of Nazirut, you cut off the hair. Right? You don't start again. Why? Because by the time you get to the end, you're going to have 30 days. So even though in the middle, you went and you cut off all the hair, you're still going to have the 30 days at the end to do it. So that's why it's not soteret et kol. It doesn't destroy everything. 71. Yes, 71, there was a whole question over there. Zelo posel Nezirut, because remember, Nezirut, you need minimum of 30. So even though if you're in the middle of the 30, in the middle of 100, right? So therefore, so 1 second. So therefore, he comes and he says, so therefore, no, he's still over and he's sued. He just doesn't destroy the entire 100 days. He doesn't have to start again. Tum'ah, he starts again. You remember that was the case of the queen, that she said that she's going to become a Nazirah for 7 years, and then she became Tumiah at the end. She has to start again the 7 years. You remember that there's a whole, okay? Fine. So he says like this, V'tum'ah, nasaba metameh kemitameh, kal v'chomer from what? From tiglachat. Ma tiglachat, just like the tiglachat. Right? Shena soteret el ha-shoshim, that it's only going to be soter shoshim. Asaba megaleach mitgaleach, and made the one that's giving the haircut just like the one that received the haircut, right? Tum'ah, which is soteret et kol. Eno din shena'asa ba metameh kemitameh. Shouldn't be the halacha of the one that's making like the metameh, just like the one that's mitameh. So Amar Kra, it says in the pasuk, v'timeh rosh nizro. What does it mean v'timeh rosh nizro? It says la metameh rosh nizro. What does that mean? when it says over here, right, v'timeh rosh nizro, since we're talking about the met, which is mitameh, so the extra words v'timeh rosh nizro, right, the extra words of v'timeh rosh nizro, he comes and he says, what is the extra for? Lemetameh rosh nizro. It's coming to talk about the Nazir himself, which is mitameh, but not anybody else. Which means v'timeh rosh nizro is only on him. It's not on anybody else. Meaning I have a pasuk mefurash teaching you that it's only on him and not on anybody else. So don't come and start learning from Kal Vachomer if you're learning it mefurash from here. Okay? Fine. Next, the tiglachat. Lo nasaba megaleach mitgaleach Kal Vachomer mituma. Why don't go the other way around now? We just said if you're the one giving the haircut, so the one that's giving the haircut is just like the one that's receiving the haircut, right? So the question is, say the opposite, that it's not. Why? Kavachomer from Tum'ah. Umat Tum'ah, just like by Tum'ah, right? He comes and he says, Soteret et hakol, it's going to be Soteret et hakol. Lo asuba metameh kemitameh, he's not going to make metameh kemitameh. Tiglachat, which is not Soteret, only those shloshim. Lo kol sheken, that it should not be mikaleach kemitgaleach. And so the Gemara, again, you learn it from a pasuk. The pasuk says, Amakra, Ta'ar lo ya'avor rosho. What does it mean? Karibe lo ya'avor hu ve'lo ya'avor le'acher. When it says in the pasuk, Ta'ar lo ya'avor rosho, we read it. Not only lo ya'avor, right? Who? He himself. Lo ya'avor acher. Nobody else could also do it, take off the haircut. Right? Nobody else could take off the hair to somebody else. And therefore, since it's written mefurash in a pasuk, that we're learning it from a drasha from the pasuk, you do not learn it from a kal vachomer, right? That you're not going to do this. Okay? Fine. Let's go back there. The tiglachat, when we're talking about the haircut, right? Again, basically, we keep on learning this from the stringencies of each one. We keep on saying, don't do this, don't do this. We keep on saying, if it's learned from the pasuk, right? We're not going to come and start playing around, because once you learn it from the pasuk, there's no kal vachomer, there's no nothing anymore. Okay? Fine. So says the Gemara, the tiglachat, when we're talking about now tiglachat, yeah, he comes and he says like this, Lo tutar miklala kal vachomer miyain. You should learn from a kal vachomer from the wine. What does that mean? Uma yain she'eno soter lo utar miklalo. When we're talking about now the yisur of wine, which is not going to be soter the nezirut, lo hutar miklalo, he says it's going to be actually a sur for the nazir to drink wine, even bimkom mitzvah. Tiglachat shesoteret. When we're talking about tiglachat, which is going to be soteret, the shoshim yom, eno din shelo tutar miklala. So therefore, shouldn't it be that it's not going to be permitted? One more time, what did we just say? We said that tiglachat, it was never going to be permitted, the tiglachat, right? What does that mean? We should say, usually tiglachat is permitted. How do we know tiglachat is permitted? In which case is it permitted? Mitzorah. So if tiglachat is permitted in mitzorah, say no, it shouldn't be permitted. Why not? Kal vachomer from the wine. Just like the wine, it's not soter, right? And there's no such thing as a heter. Tiglachat, which is soter at least 30 days, enodin shelo tutar mikla, it shouldn't be permitted. Nothing should be permitted. Answers the Gemara, Amar Rachmana, Rosho, Amar Rachmana, Zekano. It says both Rosho and Zekano. It says, Vayab Yom Shevi'i Egalach Lekol Se'ar Rosho, Se'aro, Et Rosho Ve'Zekano. Rosho Ve'Zekano is included in Kol Se'aro. If I come and I tell you, you're not allowed to take off any hair or all your hair, what is that including? Doesn't matter whether it's a beard, whether it's a mustache, whether it's the hair, it's anything. Why does it say, et rosho ve'et zekano? Why does it say both? Comes to teach you that even a mitzorah, right? Even a mitzorah of a nazir is going to be megaleach. So says the Gemara, fine. The tiglachat lo tistor klal kal vachomer miyain. Fine. So maybe it's not going to be destroying at all. Kal vachomer from wine. Just like wine, umayain shelo utar miklalo was not permitted whatsoever. But it's not going to be soter whatsoever. Tiglachat, which was permitted for bimkom mitzvah, shouldn't be that it shouldn't be soter at all. And so the Gemara, ba'inan gidul se'ar ve'aleka. You need the growth of hair, and you don't have it. Remember that a Nazir needs 30 days of hair in order to come and to take. That's why before 30 days, it doesn't exist. Yeah? For example, I'll give you an example. We know, right, that there's 30 days minimum of avelut to do with the hair as well. And we know that there's a concept of ge'ara. Ge'ara is added onto that, which means that if it's talking about the parents, so it's after the 30 days, it's until somebody says that he looks ugly. Imagine the guy didn't take a haircut before the avelut. He was already at the day 27. And now the father or the mother passes away. And now on day 40, right, but it's only on day 15 as of his avelut, he looks terrible. He looks like he's got some type of, like a wig on his head, and the beard looks like, I don't know what, you understand? So now the question is, can you say, listen, you know what? Permit him to cut his hair. The answer is no. You know why? Because the en ge'ara pachot mishloshim, right? There's no such thing as ge'ara less than 30 days. Meaning that you always need the minimum of 30. And after the minimum of 30, then you could have... Afterwards, Isha. Yeah, so he says, right, there's such a concept of what? Of the ge'ara. So therefore, first you need a minimum of 30, and after the 30, you have ge'ara. Now, there's other halachot as well, as we already mentioned many different times. We said that, for example, chagim, they cut off the 30 days, but they don't cut off for a parent. Why don't they cut off for a parent? Because a parent is lo kashur to 30 days. A parent is kashur to ge'ara. So he has to wait until after the chag, basically until after the 30 days. And then when they do the ge'ara, then he's allowed to do it. So, okay, one second. There's a lot of halachot to do with Sfirat HaOmer. Okay? So now the halacha states like this. Okay? The halacha says, when we're talking about now, right, Gidul Se'ar. Gidul Se'ar has to be minimum 30 days. And if since it has to be minimum 30 days, that's why it's going to be soter the 30 days. Now ask the Gemara, V'yayin nistor shoshim yom kal v'chomer mitiglachat. This is 1 second. Yain should also be soter 30 days. You know where? From a kal v'chomer of tiglachat. What is a kal v'chomer of tiglachat? He says like this: Uma tiglachat sheutra miklala soteret, just like tiglachat, which is the haircut, which is going to be permitted. Soteret, it's going to be soter. Yain, right, which is not going to be utar miklala. Eno dinchi. So for sure it should be soter. Meaning yain should also be soter the entire nezirut. Answers the Gemara, Mide utama ela mishum gidul se'ar. Kabe yain hakaim se'aro. He says, 1 second, I don't understand you. What's the kal v'chomer? By tiglachat, the reason why it's soter is because you needed the hair to be long. If you don't have the hair long, what does it help? Here, it's wine, not kesher. You drank wine. Now what? Your hair is still long. What is the connection between, what did you want to make a kal v'chomer? I mean, my kal v'chomer. If by, 1 second, by wine, you drank wine, you did an avera. You still have long hair. What does that have to do with the tiglachat now? But the second you do tiglachat, you don't have long hair anymore. Okay? Fine. Memdalad Amubet, 44b. Right? Mishnah. Okay? Says the Mishnah. Tiglachat tum'ah. When we're talking about tiglachat tum'ah, what does that mean exactly, tiglachat tum'ah? The tiglachat that a person is going to make, right, of a Nazir tameh. She became tameh. What is the case exactly? Meaning, before, yes. Remember, whenever we're talking about, right, we're talking about the tiglachat shemigalech Nazir shemetameh, meaning a person became mitameh, and when he became tameh, right, he's going to come and he's going to have what's called a tiglachat. So before he's going to start, he says like this: Keitzad. What's the case exactly? Hayam mazeh, right? He says like this: Hayam mazeh. He used to do it on the 3rd day and the 7th day. Okay? He says, Umevi korbenotav, and he's going to now bring the korbanot bashmini on the 8th day. Okay? So therefore, one more time, how does the person that does tiglachat, how does exactly he start his nezirut and he does all the things? So therefore, they're going to sprinkle him on the 3rd and 7th day. Remember, tamemet, they sprinkle him on the 3rd and 7th day. Right? And then he's going to be megaleach on the 7th day. So again, there's a problem of Nazir that became tamemet. Umevi korbenotav, when does he bring his korban? On the 8th day. V'im gileach bashmini, if right now he's going to be megaleach on the 8th day, right? So he says, mevi korbenotav bo bayom. He's going to bring the korbanot on the same day. So if he's going to be megaleach, right, on the 8th day, he's going to bring the korbanot on the same day, right, on the 8th day, not on the 7th day. Divrei Rabbi Kiva, these are the words of Rabbi Kiva. Amar lo Rabbi Tarfon, says Rabbi Tarfon, ma ben ze lemetzorah. What's the difference between this one and the mitzorah? That he didn't take the haircut on the 7th day and only on the 8th day, that he can bring the korbanot on the same day, right? Basically, a mitzorah, that he becomes tahor. After they do the entire thing, that he becomes tahor, right? On the 7th day, they do the giluach. And on the 8th day, he brings the korban. A mitzorah that did not take a haircut on the 7th day, but only on the 8th day, he cannot bring the korban the same day. He has to wait until the next day. So the question is, what's the difference between the mitzorah, right, and the nazir? So he comes and he says, Amar lo, Rabbi Akiva comes and he answers him, Ze taratot tluya biyamav, umetzorah taratot tluya betiglachto. Which means like this: the nazir, everything depends on days. He became tameh, so he's going to come on the 3rd day, get sprinkled. 7th day becomes sprinkled. So everything depends on days. So therefore, since everything depends on days, once, even if it's going to be on the same day, he took the haircut on the 8th day, he could still bring the korban on the 8th day. But to do the mitzorah, the entire tahara process has to do with his korban, and since with his tiglachat. So since the entire process starts with his tiglachat, when he does his tiglachat, then he could do the next day the korban. So therefore, if he did the tiglachat on the 7th day, so then he does the korban on the 8th day. But if he didn't do the korban on the tiglachat on the 7th day, but rather he did the tiglachat on the 8th day, so then he could only bring the korban the next day. Now, you cannot bring the korban unless there was herev shemesh. Okay? Until here we're all clear. The question is like this. We had a machloket in the Mishnah between Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Tarfon. Rabbi Akiva said that if he only took the haircut on Yom HaShmini, he could still bring the korbanot on the same day. Rabbi Tarfon said, what's the difference between that and the mitzorah? So he went and he explained it. Right, he went and he explained, right, the difference, right, that everything has to do with what is the ta'ara. Is the ta'ara talui be yamim, or is the ta'ara talui betiglachat? So says the Gemara, did Rabbi Tarfon accept the answer of Rabbi Akiva or not? Which means, does he agree that at the end of the day, a nazir, that he did the haircut, right, only on the 8th day, he could bring the korbanot on the same day or not? So Tashema, we're going to try to bring a proof. The Tani Hillel, right? The taught Hillel. Okay, here we talk is not a Hillel Azaken, right? Because Hillel Azaken was way before Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Tarfon. Okay, so he says this Hillel, right, was another one. Okay, he says here it was an Amurah. He says maybe it was a Talmid of Rava. Okay, so the Tani Hillel taught in a Braita. Kileach b'yom hashemini. If he took a haircut on the 8th day, he's talking about Nazir Tameh, that he took the haircut on the 8th day, he's going to bring a korban, right, the next day, but she. Now says the Gemara, if you're going to tell me now that Rabbi Tarfon accepted the Shita of Rabbi Akiva, you could bring the same day. If he held like Rabbi Akiva, bring it the same day. So Amar Rava says, what are you talking about? La Kashia, what are we talking about? It's not a question. Everything depended upon when did you do the tevilah. What does that mean? Our Mishnah is talking about that the Nazir, when he took the haircut on Yom HaShmini, he could bring the same korban the same day. It's talking about that he did the tevilah b'Yom HaShmini. And therefore, since he was already tahor, so he could bring the korban b'Yom HaShmini. But the Braita is talking about where the Nazir only took the haircut on the 8th day, he cannot bring it unless it's the 9th day. Is talking about where he didn't do the tevilah the day before. So since he didn't do the tevilah on the 7th day, but rather he did it on the 8th day, he has to wait until the next day, right, in order to come and to bring the korban. So Amar Abaye comes and he says, we found the friends of Rav Natan bar Oshaya, the Yatvin ve'Kamnin, that they were sitting and they were teaching in the Braita, Uba lifne, when it says over there about a zav which sees 3 times. Okay, it says in the pasuk by a zav. Remember, a zav is a person that has seminal discharge when the organ is dead. Okay, so it says v'chi itana azav mizovo v'safer lo shivat yamim letaorato v'chibes begadav rachat v'sorom mayim v'taher. Right? Uvayom shmini yikach lo shtei torim v'shomrim yino v'lifnei Hashem mipetach ol moed untana mela kohen. So the kavanah of the pasuk is that the zav, he comes into Machane Leviah, he comes until the entrance of the Machane Ashchina, right? Okay, obviously when we're talking about the Bet HaMikdash, it's in Shar Nikanor. In order to bring the Korban, that the Kohen should bring the Korban. Now, Ematayuba, when does he come to the Machane Leviah to be La'amod Lifnei Hashem? He comes, Ematayuba, Izman Shu Taval Ve'asar Erev Shemesh, only if he did Tevilah, and there was Erev Shemesh. Erev Shemesh means it already passed the day. It finished the night. Then yes. Lo tavar, but if he did not do tevilah in Erev Shemesh, no. Okay? Alma, so you see from here, Kasavar, he holds Tevul Yom Shel Zav Kizav Dami. That a Tevul Yom is still considered like a Zav. Right? Which means that you're not allowed to go into Machane Leviah, not only Machane Shechina, not only Machane Leviah. Okay? So therefore, the Tevul Yom of a Zav is exactly like a Zav. So says the Gemara, Amina lehon ana, but I told them, Ela meata, 1 second, according to your words, what about a Nazir? Like a ben Nazir nami, also by Nazir, it's written, Dichtiv, Vegilach rosho yom torato yom shvi, Yegalchil yom shvini, Yavish shnei torim, O shemiyah lakol petach moed. So emata yuba, when is he going to come? He's man shetavar v'asar Erev Shemesh. Only if he did tevilah, and he did Erev Shemesh. That means he became completely pure on the 7th day. Right? But if he did not do tevilah and Erev Shemesh, he's not allowed to come, even to Shani Kanon. Right? From the pasuk of the Nazir Tameh, he cannot do it. So according to your words, even from this pasuk also, you cannot come and say that he could come there the next day, because that's not true. Just like Abaye is going to prove. How is he going to prove it? Look at the Memeh Amud. It says, Michdi, Shareni Kanor, Hecha Kayamin, Shareni Kanor. Where is it going to be? Where exactly is Share Nikanor? Okay, if you take the picture of the Bet HaMikdash, where's Share Nikanor? He says B'Share Leviah. That's in Share Leviah still. It's not in the Ezrat HaKonim. Right, the Ezrat HaKonim. Tanya, we learned in a Braita though. Tameh met, mutalo likanes Machane Leviah. A person that's Tameh met is allowed to go to Machane Leviah. Okay, V'lo Tameh met, not only Tameh met, ela afilu met atzmo. Even the met himself could go into Machane Leviah. Shnema says in the pasuk, "Vayikach Moshe et atzmot Yosef imo." He took atzmot Yosef. Ma imo? What does it mean imo? Imo b'mechitzato. Imo means b'machane Leviah. So therefore, you see from here that they're allowed to go into there, right? So therefore, since Abaye comes now and he pushes this away, he's going to say Ela, but rather Tevul Yom Shel Zav is not like a Zav Dami. Tevul Yom Shel Zav is not like a Zav, right? Why? Because he says a Zav. After he counted 7 days and he did tevilah, he's not like a Zav Gamur, even though he didn't do the tevilah. Therefore, if he saw 2 re'iyot and he did tevilah on the 7th day, he's allowed to go into Machane Leviah. But still, Kevin the mechutzar kapara, since he's still lacking kapara, an atonement, lo ayel, right? He could still not go up. What does that mean? Even a Zav that sees 3 re'iyot, and now he's a Tvul Yom. Since he's lacking kapara, he's mechutzar kippurim, he has to bring a korban. So he's not allowed to go into Machane Leviah. The Braita is saying that it's a sur for a Tvul Yom to go into Machane Leviah, which is basically a Harabait, right? He's talking about a Zav that he saw 3 times, and he's obligated to bring a Korban. So a Zav like this, right, not only is it now the Tvul Yom, right, like the day of the Tvilah, but rather he's also called Mechusar Kippurim. Mechusar Kippurim means he's lacking kapara. Mechusar, he's lacking Kippur. He's lacking atonement, right? That means he's lacking the kapara. So since the Zav is lacking 2 things, he's lacking Erev Shemesh plus the Korbanot, he's not allowed to go into Harabait. But a Zav that only saw two different times, so therefore he's not Chayav to bring the Korbanot. Because remember, what's the difference between a Zav that sees twice or a Zav that sees 3 times? The Korban. That's the only difference between them. So he comes and he says, right, so in such a case, right, he comes and he says, so therefore he comes and he says it's a different halacha. So says the Gemara, now if you're going to tell me now that we're talking about Machane Leviah, so why is it written then Petach Ol Moed? So it's mashma that he's going into the Azara, which means Machane Shechina. So the Meimer, you're going to tell me, just like over there, he cannot go into a mechusar kapara cannot go into machane shchina, af lemachane leviyah, not mechusar kapara that you cannot go even to machane leviyah as well. So says the Gemara, no, why? Vehata minalan. Where do you learn this from? So he says, the Tanya we learned in the Braita, tameh yiyeh. When it says tameh yiyeh, it comes lirabot tevul yom. What do you mean tevul yom? He's not allowed to go into the Hazara. O tumato bo lirabot mechusar kapara. So two different limudim. One limud is o tumato bo, that if you're mechusar kapara, you're lacking kapara, right? You're not able to go into the Hazara. Number two, also tevul yom, you're not allowed to go into the Hazara. So two different halachot that you're not allowed to go into the Hazara. Okay?